Okay, good.
All right. So at this point, I don't know. Everybody understand this?
Well, let's just go. I know in short I'm lost, but so we did the Terraform files, not so.
All right.
So that's what we are at right now.
Yeah, last week we had already finished building our Terraform, the
Because I
VPC.
left halfway, I was so sleepy and tired.
All right, these are the files, right? These are the files. All this is just to provision a VPC with all its components. Like this is the VPC to create a subnet, internet
route
gateway,
table,
route table,
security
groups. This is the instance.
Okay.
Yeah. So Terraform is just to help us create the server, the EC2 instance where we will be deploying our app.
Okay.
Yeah, if you take a look, this is our application. All this Python stuff, Python. All this comes from Terraform, from Python application. We're deploying a Python application, yeah.
Okay.
So this is the Docker file. Since it's a Python application, my base image is Python from Python.
Okay.
Yeah, make a directory, copy everything from my host machine to the directory. Then I cd into the directory. I run this requirement text file for Python. This required, and I start the Python app.
Okay.
All right, that is it for this. Then now, this is our Jenkins file. All right, since we are not building, Python is not like a Java app that you need Maven to build. So I've removed the section where it says tools. There was one part here that says tools. Then you.
But that says what?
Tools.
Oh, tools. Okay, tools. Oh, yeah.
Tools like this. Tools. Then you call in Maven. You call in Maven here. Yeah, like our Maven 3.8 as we had before. Then we come, I've also removed the stage where we build Maven to do the Maven package. Yeah.
Okay, so now if we don't use Maven as our build tool, because it's not a Python, it's Java. So now for the Python application, what are we going to use to build?
All right. We don't use any build tool for Python application. We just package the application to an image. We build it as an image.
Oh.
It's just the same as a simple. It's the same as a simple application or a web application that you build with HTML. It's like a static website, Node.js. It's just the same procedure with like Node.js.
Okay, it doesn't need a build tool.
Yes, it don't need a build tool. Yeah. So this is my environment, like environmental variables, right? This is environment. I've already, this is the image we are going to be building. Let me say version 1. So this is the name of the image that we are going to build and push to GitHub. So we are putting it inside this variable name, image name. This is it, because we are going to call it down. Anywhere we need like image, anywhere we need this image, we are going to call it using this variable name. So from this point, since we already have our Docker file, our source or our Docker file, everything is in the Docker file, the source code is in the Docker file. So the first stage will be building the image. So this is the command. Here we connect, we make sure that we are connecting this Jenkins with Docker Hub. We'll build the image. The reason why we have to connect to Docker Hub is because you cannot push your image to Docker Hub without signing into Docker Hub. So this command helps us to sign to Docker Hub, then pushes the image to Docker Hub. Then after our image is now in the Docker Hub repository or Nexus or AWS ECR, Elastic Compute Registry, yeah, something like that. Yeah, any of those repositories, yeah. From this stage, our image, it's now saved. It's stored in a repository, let's say Nexus, but in this case, it's the Docker Hub. Then now, yeah, this stage, we are going to call Terraform, yeah, inside a Jenkins script. So Terraform is going to provision our VPC with its components, security group, everything that is required for the EC2 instance to work with.
But so let me ask a question. I'm a bit lost somewhere. So this is the Terraform script that we have put into the Jenkins script or what?
Yes.
Okay, we have integrated it into the Jenkins script.
Yes, this is Terraform. Look at here. We have already written all the Terraform configuration file to deploy, to provision an EC2 instance in a VPC, right? So now here we are going to be calling the Terraform. So it's like we are calling the Terraform here. Then now, when we call the Terraform, let me put back this up. We are going to initialize the repository because this DRI means, you see, Terraform configuration files are inside a folder called Terraform. Oh, she's kind of Esembe.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Hafa. No, I did. All right.
Welcome.
Thank you, my boss. I hear.
You got to wear eyeglasses to see you fine.
Yeah, I know my boss. My boss.
One in town. I do for you.
One. All right, my boss.
I enjoy this guy explanation.
Okay.
No problem. So quick question. So all these things you are putting in place now, does it mean that we are the ones that are going to use our head to bring out provider, VPC, subnet, or it should have been there, then you start putting them in?
All right, provided the company you work for. If it's a big organization, you will have those who take care of Terraform, those who take care of the Kubernetes. If you are to take care of Jenkins file, so it depends on the company. You know, these smaller companies, you do all that, maybe just two of you, but you have to understand all this. Okay, Beck, before I want to continue, I want maybe like, Mama J, do you know how do you like provision or deploy your application? How do you create your instances where you're going to deploy on? What steps do you take?
Okay, it all depends. If I want to like creating an provisioning an infrastructure in the cloud, is that what you mean?
No, I mean like, okay, let's say you're given an application, right? Then they want you to deploy it on to maybe, let's say, deployment server. Okay, and you be the one to create those deployment servers, like the EC2 instance, before doing all this.
Before doing the deployment.
Yeah, before using Jenkins to deploy on that server. What are the steps you take?
Okay, I'm first going to launch an instance, EC2 instance, to use like my server.
Yeah.
And then I configure the server.
All right. Okay. That is, let's say, that is your target server, right? Your Jenkins server is already running. Then you are going to, like, say, maybe manually create a different server, right? All right. Okay. Yeah, but now with this script, right, you don't have to manually create a server.
Yeah.
When you run this code, this script, it's going to automatically create that server for you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Terraform script now.
Yes. So this is why we are integrating Terraform here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got you. Got you.
Yes. And you know, and I believe when you create your server manually, you need to go and look for the IP.
Yeah, all of that.
All right. This script is still going to cache the IP.
Okay, just one touch and everything will just go
automatically.
But on this script, you have to put everything.
Yeah, everything is on the script.
Yeah.
When you just, if maybe I include like webhook, you know of webhook, right? Yeah. Any code commit.
It's a build trigger.
Yes. So like with this script, if I integrate webhook with any code commit, it triggers automatically and build everything. The deployment, it builds the image, builds the deployment environment, the servers where you're going to deploy on, connect to them, because this deployment phase, is where it's connecting, is SSHing inside the server that was created by Ansible and deploys on that server. This deployment phase. Yeah, because
the deployment phase. The second one was a provisioning stage phase.
Yes.
And then the first one was the
creating the image.
Creating. Okay.
Yes. Or let's just call it building the application.
Okay.
Yes. So we created the image here. We provision our servers here using this step. Then this last step, we are deploying.
Okay.
We are deploying on this server. This is what this does.
Okay.
All right.
So this one is going to be like the Ansible where we're deploying in, not so.
All right. If we want to use Ansible, yes, we can integrate Ansible here. We can write another stage for Ansible. Yes. Let's say this stage, Ansible 2 can come here. This is where Ansible comes if you are using. Let's say for
deployment.
Yeah, let's say Terraform provision like 100 or 1,000 servers. You need to use Ansible to deploy on all those servers with one click.
Yeah.
Right? So now this is where you're going to use Ansible. So you know the basics of how do they call it, software life cycle. It's just creating the image, provisioning the servers, and deploying on the servers. Yeah, these are just 3 steps, because if you have to use Kubernetes cluster, instead of provisioning one server as we are doing here, we are going to provision by the Kubernetes cluster.
Okay.
Yes. It's just, yeah, when you understand this, you can use it to do.
And then deploy.
So let me see.
So
yeah.
So in your environment, what is Terraform? I mean, what does Terraform do in your environment?
Terraform helps me to provision this.
No, I mean like in your environment, you know, different environment use Terraform for provisioning. Are you using in your environment, are you using Terraform to provision and then configure together? Like you're doing it together?
All right, okay. Now, one more question. What is like to configure. When they say you want to configure an environment.
So when you because Terraform, you have Terraform for configuring and provisioning also. So when you are configuring your environment, it means you are installing software that it can be useful to
run
action, you know, or to run certain things, or to maybe your deployment server. So that is why there is an environment like in our own in our environment, right? We use Terraform just for provisioning. We provision our resources using Terraform, and then now Ansible do the configuration management, because that is what Ansible do. It's just like you can still write an Ansible playbook to do what you're doing right now to provision your server and then compare. We don't use that. So that is what I'm asking. I'm not like saying like we should know the difference so that
that's a good it's a good question. Okay, let me at least let me go back here. Let's say I say my mouse is like so. All right, let's say we use Terraform here, right? Just to configure. Sorry, just to provision.
Provision.
Okay, we are using this just to provision. And if we provision, we get the EC2 instance, right? And we want to run a Docker image. A fresh EC2 instance is not having Docker installed in it, so we need to install Docker in it. That is like we are already configuring our environment so that Docker can run on it, right?
That's what I'm saying, because like when somebody you can look at the script, right?
Yeah.
You know the function of the script. Maybe they ask you in an interview. You're supposed to know what I mean. You are supposed to know that you know the tool, what the tool does.
Right.
And the limit of the tool, you know, because if you say you're maybe Ansible provision and then Terraform provision and then Ansible configure. If somebody look at the script, the person will ask you like, but you told me you use Ansible to configure your system. But why is this script showing configuration by Terraform? You know, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That is why I just want to explain it in such a way you grab the what I'm trying to say. Okay. Let's say I used since my environment, my EC2, the only configuration, the most essential configuration I need in it, it's Docker. To configure it in such a way Docker will run in it. If I go back to my Terraform script, let me go back to instance. There is this stuff I included, user data, so that when it launches the EC2, this is a script, Linux server. Let me go to the script here. It's going to run this script. And what this script does is configuring the environment already. It's going to update the EC2. It's going to install Docker. It's going to add EC2 user to the Docker so that the EC2 user can run Docker commands, and is going to enable and start Docker. So I have configured my environment with Terraform. But
that is what I'm asking. Means in your environment, you use Terraform as configuration, provisioning and configuration tool, right?
Somehow, yeah.
No, don't say so, because if you use all these, like right now what you're using, right, you have your server already created. Now, because if in other environment, like in our environment, if once your server is being created, right, you have an Ansible playbook already. An Ansible playbook ready for you to do the configuration that is being integrated to do the configuration under deployment, you know. So I'm just not that you are not. I'm not saying like you are not correct. I'm just asking you like, because
in your own environment.
Because if they ask you, you say you have Ansible as provisioning, configuration under deployment, and then Terraform provisioning, and then you start explaining your Terraform configuration file.
It's wait.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Can I say something?
No.
So are you asking in this present environment, or because the fact that you say you use Ansible and Terraform in your environment doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you use all the time, right? So you might, like in Denmark, they taught us we're told to use Terraform for provisioning. Oh my God, I cannot even pronounce that. And Ansible to configure, right? But we can still decide to use Terraform to do the to provision and configure at the same time. So the question you are asking him, are you asking him about this specific script or his usual environment?
No, I'm just asking him about his usual environment. He's correct. I'm not arguing, like, because it's confusing, right? If you don't know, like now, if you introduce yourself, like, I use Terraform for this, right? And then Ansible for this. Now, what the interviewer expects is just that you need to create a playbook to configure your system, because that is your environment. That is how you're telling the interviewer that your environment is being set up. Now, if you go now in a different way to say, okay, except you tell him that sometimes we do use Ansible, Terraform for provisioning, and configuration. So
Esembe, deployments are different depending on how we want to deploy. Like for this, we are not using Ansible. And why did I say that Terraform? It's for provisioning, not for configuration. This I can say is a partial configuration, because when you want to write maybe Ansible commands to provision, you are not to configure. You will not be using user data. User data is just a quick way to run a Linux script to configure the environment. Yes, calling it from Terraform. You understand? But if you want to use Terraform like configuration, this is how you'll be writing it, the way you are writing this. You will not write the commands like this. This is Linux command. I'm just calling this script inside Terraform, inside my Terraform to run it. Terraform is not actually, if you understand what I'm talking about, it's not actually used as a configuration tool here. It's used strictly for provisioning. Then I just use this shortcut, the user data, the same as when you go to AWS, when you want to configure quickly, maybe something to be installed during provisioning, you go and add your commands. You go and add this script. Because if you want to use it as a configuration tool, this is how you'll be defining the things. It won't be defined the way you define your Linux commands. That's why I say it's a provisioning tool. So we just use this backdoor to add this our Linux script so that it will run together with the Terraform.
So,
Terraform. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
So everything I've seen here, like this is all one script, right? That you've broken down into smaller pieces.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I think that where Mr. Esembe is getting confused is you're talking as if there are two different scripts. It's one script, but on the same script, you have I don't know if it's called a variable, but you have a user data or a script, right? You have a script that you have integrated into the Terraform script, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I understand. I understand it. I understand the script very well. I understand everything that he's doing. But the only question that I'm asking, right? Yeah. It's not about the script, right? It's not about the script. It's about the language that he used, like that in your environment, your language, you said you're provisioning, right? But you have a script that is doing configuration management. So when you're having a script that is doing configuration management under Terraform, because it's still Terraform, although you are using metadata.
Okay, okay. Esembe, wait there.
No, but we can continue because we can
No,
just
let's be clear. Okay, now you see this is a Jenkins file, right? Terraform is integrated. This now is running the Terraform. The same as this is a CI tool. They will call it CI tool, not a provisioning tool, because it's not a provisioning tool because Docker is inside. It's not a provisioning tool. This Jenkins file is not a provisioning tool because Terraform is integrated in it. So I will not call Terraform here a configuration tool because one small Linux script is integrated in it. You get my point?
Yeah. No problem. Continue.
Yes, yes.
Okay, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think everything here is inside Terraform, right? Everything, every script, the user data or whatever is in here, it's all in a Terraform script, right?
Yes.
And the title of this script, the name of this script is main.ts, right?
What?
The name of this script. What's the name of this script? The name of the script.
This is a script. This is the Linux, the shell script that
Okay, so
Terraform will help me run.
So you have a different script for provisioning the server, a different script for installation.
Okay, see, this is my script for installing EC2 instance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something for visibility. Let's say that script, this is what the script is doing.
So continue.
No, me others them understand now. Now why don't they ask
No,
questions?
we understand. Now just I try to understand the talk, right? It is talk like your presentation. I think the presentation matters, right? Because from what I'm understanding and from what I'm seeing there, I feel like you're using Terraform for both provisioning and configuration.
Yes, that's true.
So that's the answer he was asking for, right?
That's the only thing. Yeah, that is the only thing. Because if you are in an interview right now, you say provisioning and you have different tool for provision and then different tool for configuration as your configuration management tool. Now, but you bring out you bring everything together using one tool. It will be like, but it's okay.
Oh, I understand this script. I know what it does. When it comes to I didn't mention configuration tool yet because
I'm just asking. I didn't say.
Yeah.
I didn't say. Maybe I did. Maybe I go out of topic, but
yeah,
I was just trying to ask in your environment so that we should not because you are doing configuration and provisioning together.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So I don't even know. I will deal with again. Yeah. So if it's a large environment with many servers, where we need to use, if it's an environment we need to use Ansible. This is where Ansible, we are going to write Ansible scripts. We are going to change this to Ansible scripts. Yeah, it's going to come here. So we are going to write the Ansible files too. We are going to write the manifest files here, put it in its own directory, then call it here, just the same way we did with Terraform. So we write here and call it here. So this is it. Let me see.
When you say call it, right, is that the DevOps word of interpreting what you're doing? I'm just asking.
Yes, it's the same. Like, let's say if x equals to 5, then print x. If you want to print the 5, you say print x. You are calling the x, right, in the print statement. So it's just the same. It just is
Okay,
one
you.
language, yeah. What am I looking for? Okay. New terminal. Oh, let me see. Sorry. All right, let me go to my Jenkins and run. This is it. All that file is already safe in GitHub. So let me run the build. Oh, God, I'm making this anyway. Let's wait. Oh. Oh, might fail. Okay. There was an error in the script. All right, so let me go back to AWS first and show you why. All right, so this is the instance. It had to fail because it's still initializing. So you can run commands on a server that is not yet ready. So that is why the build had to fail, as you can see. It needs to be ready.
That is like an interview question. That while you are doing, what are the challenges you faced? So sometimes maybe one of the server was still booting, and so it failed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It could be. Mm-hmm.
So there is this part that I omitted. Okay, like this part, you see, I had to like sleep. So after provisioning the instance up here, I had to make it to sleep for 90 seconds. I hope by this time, this 90 seconds, it must have already been ready here for it to deploy. You see, right now it's ready. So let me go ahead and run the file again. Let me run it again. Oh, the image was already there, but nevertheless, I think it's still going to go through. So this is the image. This is the app, Python app, the version 1 in Docker Hub. If we come here, this is the name of our image. Right, this is my IP. Copy. Now it has logged into the server and it's running this Docker command, Docker run, with opening this port, then pulling this image. Right, it is successful. There's our IP. So, yeah. It's running on port 5000. So this is the application. This is the same app I had to dockerize. That was on Monday. This is the application. So that is all about it. But before we do all these steps, there is something in Jenkins that we need to configure our Jenkins. Let's go to maybe the, okay, let me go here. There are certain things we need to install. We need to install SSH plugin. Yeah, then for credentials, for the Jenkins server to talk with AWS or to connect with the EC2 instance, under credentials, we need to like, let me go to, remove this thing. Where is, there used to be something around here. Where is it? Okay. All right. So we need to add credentials in order for the Jenkins to communicate with AWS. First, you need to install AWS CLI so that you run the AWS configure and you add the access and secret key. Then for the EC2 key pair, for it to use the EC2 key pair, you need to add it here under credentials. So let's say what you do. Okay, yeah, this is it. You come, let me say, this is the name of my key pair. This is the user. And here, I don't want to click replace. Let me go back to a new one. Let me do a new one. Let me say add credentials. For the kind, I will use SSH username with private key. Then my private key name here, I'll put it here, EC2 server key. Description doesn't really matter. Description, it doesn't really matter. Then here, since I'm connecting to EC2, my user is EC2 user. I'll mention the name here. Then for the private key, I'm going to add my private key here. And where do I get that private key? Is that PEM file that you download. So you cut the PEM file, you VI into the PEM file, anyhow you do to obtain that code that is inside. You paste it here. This will permit you, each time you want to SSH into the EC2 instance, is going to use this private key as a PEM file because it already has its the PEM file stored in Jenkins, and this will be the user. And the same thing with Docker. In order to run your script with Jenkins and log into Docker, you need to do some changes here too. You come, kind will be username and password. You put your Docker hub password here, username, then password here. Then you need an ID. You put it here. So then inside this server, inside this Jenkins server, what you have to do, let me say Docker PS. You need to exec into the container. You go into the container. Docker exec -IT. Let me say bash. So here, if you see AWS configure, I already have it inside the container, not on the server, inside the container. I have the secret key inside the container, restart inside the container. Then if I do, I also had to install Python inside the container because Jenkins is the container and we are using the Jenkins to run all those things. So it needs to have all this configuration. If I do like a Python Terraform, yeah. Terraform, let me see, is it version? It shows that Terraform is installed in here. So you have to install all this inside, configure this. in order for it to communicate with AWS. So that is all about the script. Maybe if we want to move forward, we might want to like start, say, integrate Ansible. We can write Ansible scripts and integrate it here and do the same thing. Just deploy the same application.
Then that means if you want to use Ansible to deploy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can instead use call Ansible, yeah. Yeah, so Ansible is just
that would
going.
be Ansible script.
Huh?
That will be Ansible script. You deploy an
Yes.
Ansible script.
Yes, we are going to write it separately as we did with Terraform.
What is the work of Ansible Tower?
I don't know. See.
Oh, okay, don't bother yourself. I know it's somebody knows, but you know what to talk.
I don't know about that. Ansible Galaxy. So I think that is all I got, except there is anything somebody wants to clarify themselves with. And again, I'm having this this README file. I believe I had to document everything in it. All right, so on your, let me say on the machine that you'll be using, your host machine, you just need to run this script. You will name the script like this, anyhow you want to name the script, but it needs to end with .sh. Then you copy this. Let's say maybe you go and you can go manually and build and provision one instance on AWS. Then inside, when you log in into the AWS, you create this script. You first create this script. This is what it's going to do on your EC2 server, the host, right? It's going to update, install Docker,
start.
add this, do all this, then install curl. Then this is Terraform. Yeah, I'm installing. These are the commands to install Terraform. And again, mind you, this I'm using but apt-get because I'm doing this on Ubuntu. So you will go to the Terraform official, just go install Docker.
Official documentation.
Yes, give you the options. Yeah, you just replace it here. Then this is also apt-get. So if it's EC2 Linux, you need the yum, stuff like that. You just need some of those changes. So this is the first. When you run this script, your server is already your Jenkins server everything is already configured. Now, except that you have to go inside to add these credentials, then download your required plugins. Yeah. So yeah, that will be all for your EC2 instance. Then when it's done, when that is done, all right, yeah, as I said, you need to add the access and secret key to the server, right? Yeah, because this other command, we are downloading the AWS CLI here, version 2. This is it. This is the command. So when that is done on the server, it's not really needed, though, because I just included this if you want to use your server maybe to create different servers, because everything will be running on inside the container. Yeah. So, oh God, what is this? All right. So then run the second installation script in Jenkins container with the below configuration. You know, I realize when you log in inside a container, like let me say I'm inside this container. You cannot do sudo apt-get. Sudo app update. Let me say updates. You will say sudo not found. Yeah, because all these commands, these Terraform installation commands, most of these commands on their official documents, most commands on official documents usually come like this with sudo, because you know it's not advisable to run install application with root user. So you have to take out all this sudo that is in front, all the sudo that you find inside. You have to remove it, or else the script is going to fail when you are running it inside the container. So it's the same thing as up, because yeah, it's the same thing as up. It's like you preparing your environment in your EC2 here. You have prepared your environment in order to run your Jenkins. Now Jenkins is running. This is your environment. Now Jenkins is just a container inside the environment. Now, and so we want to use this Jenkins to perform all our operations. You know, Jenkins is also a machine running on a different machine, on your host machine. So now we need to also configure this Jenkins in order for it to have all these required Terraform, AWS CLI inside the container. All those configurations needs to be inside the container for Jenkins to perform its actions. So this is it. We are installing it here. We do the AWS configure only inside the container. Then in the Jenkins UI, let me say graphical user interface, you will install the SSH agent plugin. Then we used to have credential binding plugin too. But I realized this one now, when you do that, when you run that installation in the beginning, when you just install Jenkins, it seems as if this one gets installed also. But at first, it was not the case. But this one is not installed automatically. You need to go install it. Then add EC2 instance and Docker login credentials, as I explained earlier. So this you will use, you will use SSH with username plus private key, or is it private key. That is what you'll use here. So you copy the contents of the PEM file. Let me just put it. Now you copy the contents and put here, then you use its username. Then same with Docker login credentials. You just need the username and password to the ID. All right, these are the steps. Maybe, yeah. In the GUI, you go manage Jenkins, select manage credentials, add credentials. Docker ops, select username and password, then EC2 instance, select user name with private key. Yeah. So that is it. Miss J,
I'm just like so tired. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord, I'm tired.
Well, at least today, I believe not really get much. Yeah.
But I'm going to go through the video in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very tired.
So coming regarding the, as I said, this stuff is giving me problem to push. Where is, yeah, so this is the, so this is the link. So where you can clone it.
Okay.
Or fork it, something like that.
Yeah, to fork the repository.
Yeah. Where is that?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe he's not sleeping yet.
From where?
Are they asleep with the whole meeting?
Monsieur Francis, you can stop the recording now.
Okay.